from Sources classes. In today's class, we are going to start discussing about the General Studies paper of the ISS, and this is all about the General Studies paper, as I have told you. And here you can see the rules in front of you as per the question paper, specific instructions. Now, this is this year's question paper, which means this is the 2022 paper that I would be discussing right now. And it's not that I would be discussing all the questions, rather, I would be selecting the questions one by one, and in a series of videos, I would be discussing each one of the answers. Let's get through the rules once. There were four questions, and all are to be attempted, like it's there in 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Then you come over to 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. Like that, you have four questions. Candidates should attempt questions or parts as per the instructions given in the questions. So they should be attempting questions as per the instructions, and number of marks carried by a question or part is indicated against it. Yeah, you should be answering according to the number which is provided in the bracket beside the question. Next is candidates are required to write clear, eligible and concise answers and to adhere to the word limits. So of course word limits are given over here. I would be showing you where the word limits are given wherever indicated. Failure to adhere to word limits may be penalized. Now the answers must be written within the space provided in the question come answer booklet. Any page or portion of the page left blank in the question come answer booklet must be clearly struck off. So you can put a line like this. You can just scratch that paper. If you have a page which is blank, you can just strike out that paper. Okay, just put one scratch. Answers must be written in English only, so only English language answers would be preferred. So stick to only and only English language. All right. So now let's move over to the question. Here is a question. It says, discuss number one. We are starting. Number 1A says, discuss the significant advances made in the field of science of astronomy, then mathematics and medicine during the Gupta period. So over here you have 5 marks for this question, and we are going to write an answer of 200 words. Now of course I'm not going to count word over here, the answer of which I'm providing. um, I'm going to tell you the important points that you could have included or you can include in these type of questions, where you are asked about the advancements, like important advancements in the field of science of astronomy. Then you have mathematics and medicine during the Gupta period. Let's go over to the answer. So this is your answer. Over here, when we are talking about astronomy, in the discipline of astronomy, considerable progress has been accomplished during the Gupta period. Uh, we have Aryabhatta, who was a well-known astronomer, who discovered the Earth's movements, or how it revolves around the sun on its axis. He also discovered the reasons for lunar and solar eclipse. So when we are talking about astronomy, you can consider one point regarding Aryabhatta about what he discovered. You can talk about that. Yes, you can talk about what Aryabhatta discovered. He discovered the reasons for lunar and solar eclipses. He also talked about how the earth revolves around the sun on its axis. Uh, yeah, all these things, and mostly about Aryabhatta. Next, in the field of Yes, in the field of mathematics, when we are talking about it, during the Gupta dynasty, the zero and the decimal systems were discovered and then put into use. So you can talk about the zero and the decimal systems. Okay, so zero and the decimal systems. Yes. Next, when we are talking about medicine, during this time, famous physicians and surgeons like Vegabhatta and Dhanvar serviced the people. So you have to talk about the like people who used to take care of the others, that is Vegabhatta and Dhanvantri. All right. Yeah. Next. Next, I'm going to explain you in a little bit detailed manner. During this time, astronomy achieved, so we are talking about astronomy over here in a bit detail because we have to write around 200 words, okay? During this time, the astronomy achieved significant advances, so quite advanced. So most of the things were achieved during this time in the field of astronomy. Many advances were made. The major astronomers were Varahamihira, you all have heard about the name, and Aryabhatta, like very common names that we come across. According to Aryabhatta, eclipses are created by the moon passing through the Earth's shadow or passing between the Earth and the moon. In astronomy, he used trigonometry. Okay, so of course, we are going to talk about the Earth's revolution. Then we are going to talk about trigonometry, which was discovered by Aryabhatta. He devised precise algorithms. Yes, very much important in mathematics nowadays. He devised the precise algorithms for measuring 2 days in a row. He also figured out the correct orbital equation for the planet. So this would be another point. Aryabhatta was much ahead of the European astronomers in terms of knowledge. In 505 AD, he most likely began authoring the Panchashiddhantika. This is another point that you can include. You can talk about Panchashiddhantika. He examines the concepts of the five astronomical schools in his work, which were thought to be the most authoritative at that time. The Romika Siddhanta is the only one of these five schools that clearly shows the Western influence. So even during that time, there was Western influence going on, all right? As a result of intensive trade contacts between the Roman Empire and the Gupta Empire, this is likely to happen. The Surya Siddhanta is the period's most important and comprehensive astronomical work. Next, you can talk about Varahamihira, who discussed the Petamaha Siddhanta, the Vashishta Siddhanta, and the Polisa Siddhanta, which are the other three schools of astronomy. So here you're also going to talk about the different schools of astronomy and how they helped to achieve greater advancements in the field of astronomy. Then Varahamihira has kept the core teachings of these five astronomical schools in his work. You talk about Varahamihira also. So let me highlight the points that you can just include over here. You can talk about, of course, about Aryabhatta, about the things that he has discovered in the field of astronomy, trigonometry. Then you can also talk about Varahamihira. You can also talk about the Panchashiddhantika and also about the five astronomical schools in his work, in this work. Um, then you can talk about Romika Siddhanta, which was one of those five schools that clearly showed Western influence. Um, yeah, there were intensive trade contacts which led to much more advancements in the astronomical field. Then you have Surya Siddhanta. You can talk about that. That's the most comprehensive astronomical work. Yes, the Surya Siddhanta was also found on the basis of Greek astronomy. You can mention about that. You can also talk about Varahamihira's Petamaha Siddhanta. You can also talk about the Vashishta Siddhanta, the Polisa Siddhanta. Yeah, these were the other three schools of astronomy. All right. Yes, next. Now we are going to talk about the mathematics part, like contributions in the field of mathematics. The Gupta period scientists like made some of the most notable contributions to the field of mathematics. The most significant of these contributions was the decimal system of notation discovery. So you can talk about the decimal system over here, which is quite important in mathematics. Based on the principle of the place value of the first nine numbers, then this notation system also depended upon the use of zero. So you can talk about zero. This ancient Indian empire also saw geometry attaining great heights. So you can talk about geometry, which was achieving great heights during this period. It was because of the numerous theorems related to circles and triangles. Still, the most appreciated work in mathematics was by the Aryabhatta scientists in the Gupta Empire. So you can also talk about numerous theorems. Yes, about the numerous theorems related to circles and triangles. In 499 AD, the Aryabhatta scientists in the Gupta Empire wrote the Aryabhatyam. You can talk about the Aryabhatyam. What is this book all about? It was majorly about algebra, about geometry, and mathematics. So, this is a very important book which talks about algebra, geometry, then mathematics. The list of achievements of the Gupta Empire in the field of mathematics does not end here, as the period also witnessed the cultivation of trigonometry. So you can also talk about trigonometry. The period is also said to have witnessed the rise of the Indians over the Greeks as far as mathematics is concerned. So Indians were much more at a much more higher position than the Greeks. All right. So I represented Indians with I and G as the Greeks. Okay. Next, achievements in the field of medicine. So we have talked about astronomy, we have talked about advancements in the field of mathematics. Now we are going to know about the advancements in the field of medicine. Now, when it comes to medicine, the most important works were the Charaka Samhita by Charaka and Shushruta Samhita by Shushruta. Shushruta Samhita by Shushruta. So you can talk about Charaka Samhita. You can talk about this one. And next you can talk about the Shushruta Samhita. The two placed high ideals for physicians and suggested that a physician must be a yogi and not charge high for his prescriptions. Okay, so they used to consider physician or doctor, you can say, as a yogi. Like they used to follow this rule, but not all of them used to follow. But this was a rule during that time that a physician or a doctor should consider himself as a yogi and should not charge anything high for his prescriptions. They suggested that a physician should be kind and support mankind. That is, he must not be partial to people belonging to their social class or economical status. So this was very important just in order to maintain equality in the society. No one should be no one should face a wrong behavior. Next, you have during the Gupta period, the process of distillation and the use of disinfectants was discovered by Nagarjuna. So you can talk about this also about the process of distillation, which is also a like medicinal process. Then you have the use of disinfectants, all right, in order to keep away diseases. By now, the smallpox vaccine was also introduced. So during this time, the smallpox vaccine was also introduced. So these were all the medical advancements during that time. And the surgical field also noticed a rise as the doctors could amputate and improve the deformed ears and noses. So all these could be achieved at merely that time. Within that particular time, numerous surgical instruments were developed. So doctors could amputate and also improve the deformed and deformed ears and nose. Yeah, so that was all about the discussion of the advancements in the field of astronomy. Then you have this medicine, then you have mathematics. So we are going to continue with the next set of questions of part one of this 2022 paper again in our next class. So if you have any kind of queries from this paper, you can just post down your comments below in the comment box. We are going to answer them. And if you want to join in our classes, that is at www.solvesysclasses.com. You can just visit our official website and you can join there. Now we teach here for all kinds of competitive examinations and all kinds of entrance-based tests. So if you are like preparing for any kind of entrance exams, you can just join our classes through just a phone call. Yeah, you can just call us at any time at the number which is provided in the description box just below this video. You will get it. And from there, you can enroll with us. Yeah, so that's it for today's class. We're going to meet once again in our next classes.